Hello and welcome, class. So we are going to discuss now construction contracts documents. Yours truly, I'm Engineer Ranjan Argarmi. In today's session, we are going to learn the provisions of RA 9184 and types of contract and the contract definition itself. So for my resources, we have Construction Documents and Contracting by Joseph Holman, that is 2004 Prentice Hall. And then Construction Contracts by Kit Collier, 1987. And then Construction Management by Daniel W. Halpin and Ronald W. Woodhead, second edition. And of course, for our local reference, we have Government Procurement Policy Board or GPPB. So itong GPPB is the governing body in terms of procurement here in our country. For our course outline, we will be dealing with first, introduction to construction project stages, overview of the construction contracting methods, and the contract types. Second part would have the bidding documents, invitation to bid, instruction to bidders, information to bidders, and bid data. Bidding forms, GCC or the general conditions of contract, specific conditions of contract, specifications, bill of quantities or BOQ, drawings, contract forms. And the third part will have the methods of tendering, bidding, and awarding of contracts. Number 4, contract documents and conditions. So let me start with the major project phases. So the major project phases in the project cycle that are common to most design and construction projects are project planning. So the project planning, this involves conceptualization of the project and the projection of the costing, as well as some other terms that needs to be specified. In the design, we have schematic design, design development, and then contract documents. So as a matter of process, we have also construction procurement or the bidding phase. And after which, of course, the execution of the contract or yun na yung construction. And of course, right after the construction, we will be having the post-construction. So construction project characteristics. Construction projects are different than other types of projects due to the following characteristics. Construction projects are complex undertaking. Every construction project is unique. Construction projects involve a lot of uncertainties, lack of information, and variables. So we have here the project life cycle. Most of construction project life cycle have common characteristics. Construction projects start with low cost and resources, high risk, and uncertainty. So, yung mga low cost resources, yung mga high risk and uncertainty, that could be addressed by a proper planning during the planning stage, as mentioned kanina. So the life cycle of a typical construction project could be summarized as following. So there will be 4 stages. Stage 1, so it represents the project formulation, the feasibility studies, and the strategic decisions needed for project continue. Stage 2 represents planning, basic design, budgeting, tendering, and placing the project major contracts. The third stage involves the construction phase of the project, equipment installation and testing, and the final stage represents the final stage in the project, which includes the project turnover, final testing, and startup. So here is the schematic diagram of the project life cycle. First, bakit ba nagkakaroon ng project? Of course, it has to be established by the needs. And then from that, we will be having the conceptual design. So in the conceptual design, pwede na we have alternatives to choose on. So pwede rin na we consider value engineering. And then the approval of conceptual design. And then next to that is preliminary and final design. And that would be put into bid package complete. And of course, the bid package will have a decision to release for bid. So pwede nang isa lang. And then of course, you need to invite bidders or prospect contractors. So advertise notice to bidders. And then the bid period and receipt of proposals. And then select contractor. So in the selection of contractor, there are mechanisms that needs to be followed. And then kung na-select na yung contractor, pwede nang mag-proceed. So you are gonna issue notice to proceed. And then from that, we'll have the construction period. And then the construction period, this is where the contract is executed accordingly, satisfying all the general conditions of the contract. And of course, from that, the final turnover will have the inspection and acceptance of the project. So that ends the project life cycle. In this figure, we have the different stages wherein the maximum cost will incur at the full operations on the stage 4. So first, stage 1, we have the feasibility. So under the feasibility, meron tayong project formulation, feasibility studies, strategies, design, and approval. So in government projects, napaka-importante nito because we are actually utilizing yung remittances from taxes. Of course, we wanted na pagkatapos ng project, feasible siya. In a way, it will have the appropriate return of investment. So that is in government projects. Sa business naman, of course, it should be that your project will address the desired infrastructure needed for the business. So meaning the desired infrastructure, it should have a life span that would last, okay, and of course that is responsive also sa mga needs ng business mo. Okay, baka mamaya maliit yung space or it does not address what you need in the business. So under stage 2, we have planning and design. On the planning and design, we have the base design, the cost and schedule, contract terms and conditions, and then the detailed planning. The stage 3 is the execution of construction. So ito na yung mga manufacturing, delivery, civil works, installation, and of course, commissioning and testing. And then for the final stage, we have turnover and startup. So this is where the final testing will be conducted. And of course, to sustain your project, we have the maintenance. So we now proceed to construction contracting methods. So these are types of contract. So these are delivery methods. The traditional approach is the DBB, or the design, bid, and build. So, ito yung traditional na yung design ay manggagaling dun sa ibang entity, and then ipapabid nila yon, specifying all the needed requirements, and then the build will be the selection of contractor to execute the construction. The most common delivery system is called the traditional or standard approach or design bid build, in which the employer assigns the design and construction phases to two different firms. So of course, yung design manggagaling sa consultant or the designer, and then yung construction will be implemented by a certain contractor. For many years, DBB has been the most common method of project delivery for public projects and for many private projects as well. Design bid build is effective on projects where the owner needs both professional design services and construction services. So, take note, meron tayong element ng design at construction. That is why, in the determination of the costing, meron tayong percentage for engineering services. And then, DBB is effective on projects where the designer does not require detailed knowledge of the means and methods of construction. Next, we have DBB provides the owner with a high degree of control. That's why it is the preferred project delivery system for owners who the owner defines the project goals and objectives, secures the financing, and specifies the standards and contract terms. So, manggagaling pa rin sa owner. So, in the government projects, of course, meron tayong infrastructure unit or planning office that will serve as the implementing unit, ensuring na yung standards and contract terms are met. The owner may perform planning, conceptual design, and full design, or may engage an outside design professional for some or all of these tasks. During this planning and preliminary stage, the owner and designer work as a team to obtain required permits and conduct necessary site investigations. So of course, requirement pa rin yung permit, acquisition of road right of way, and sa atin meron tayong building permit to secure, and of course we need also to conduct site investigations such as geotechnical exploration. So the designer prepares the construction bid documents to reflect the owner's project goals and objectives, the project site conditions, and sound engineering practices. Of course, yung project site conditions, napaka-importante niyan in a sense that you need also to allocate funds depending on the project site location. Mamaya, it is somewhat remote na kailangan mong mag-haul, or you need to allocate hauling costs for materials, and of course assigning the right equipment according to the project site. Okay, so those are some considerations. So next, we have prospective contractors prepare their bids from these complete and specific bid documents. So of course, magsiset yung owner ng requirement on the construction, in which the prospective contractors should be responsive to that. Then the bidders submit their proposals to the owner, who determines the most responsive. Of course, speaking of responsiveness, from the minimum standards or requirement that is set by the owner, ang pinaka magandang criteria for the winning bidder is of course the lowest. Okay? So normally sa mga government projects, hindi ibig sabihin na ikaw ang lowest, ikaw ang panalo. So there are a lot of considerations. Of course, titingnan muna nila kung responsive ba yung offer ng prospective contractors dun sa sinet mong general conditions of the contract, and after which the cost will be the determinant of the winning bidder. Okay. So in certain circumstances, owner may be justified in selecting a contractor outright and negotiating contract terms directly. So may mga cases kasi na mayroong dearth sa expertise nila. So meaning iilan lang sila. So at a certain condition or instances, pwede nang i-negotiate yung specialization na yon separately. So what would be the advantages of this traditional approach or DBB? Applicable to a wide range of projects, and then well established and easily understood. Bakit? Kasi ang normally pag yung agency ang gumawa, for example sa government projects, meron silang infrastructure unit na gumawa ng plano. Sila na rin yung magbabantay. So kabisado na nila, or they are well versed to what they have prepared. So upon execution, alam na nila ang kailangan gawin, and alam na nila ang do's and don'ts ng construction. So it is clearly defined roles for all parties, then provides the lowest initial price that competitive bidder can offer. Of course, sa preparation ng bid, hindi pwedeng bumaba sa minimum. So at some consideration ng bidders, magkakaroon tayo ng competitive bidding wherein yun, mama-maximize natin yung fund allocated for the project. So next, the advantage. Extensive litigation has resulted in well-established legal precedents. So yung DBB approach, yung mga bid documents kasi, it's all set to protect the owner na to reach or to ensure that the goals and objectives of the project are met or are achieved. Okay? So may mga mechanism yan, control mechanism, to have the project to be successful. So another advantage is insurance and bonding are well defined. Of course, as part of the contract, yung mga warranties could be insured by insurances and bonding. Of course, yung mga insurance ng bonding to protect also the contract. Baka mamaya biglang iniwan ng contractor yung project. So, ang protection niya is yung insurance or performance security. So, yung performance security, may nakalaan niyang amount. Okay? Once na nag-back up man yung contractor, hindi naman mabibitin yung owner or the procuring entity na tinatawag. So, of course, if there are advantages, there are also disadvantages. So, least cost approach requires higher level of inspection. Yun nga, ang dilemma dito, of course, we are selecting yung lowest bidder, wherein the tendency baka ma-compromise yung minimum standards and workmanship ng project. So that it requires higher level of inspection. Next, initial low bid might result in ultimate lowest cost or final best value. And then the designers may have limited knowledge of the true cost and scheduling implication of design decisions. So that is on DBB. So another type of contract is design build approach or DBA. So design build approach is a project delivery system involving a single contract between the project employer and a design build contractor covering both the design and construction of a project. The design builder performs design, construction engineering, and construction according to design parameters, performance criteria, and other requirements established by the employer of his representative. So of course, the technical know-hows and the execution of the construction, isang contractor na lang yan. So ito yung tinatawag na design and build contractor. So itong design and build contractor, may mga required experiences na yan that will be set by the owner. Of course, experience and manpower is the key element here. So the design and build contractor has the technical know-hows and then has the capability to execute the desired project. So isang entity na lang yan. Unlike yung DBB kanina or design, bid, and build, iba yung designer at iba yung contractor or the execution of the construction. So the owner contracts with a single entity to provide the design and to construct the project according to that design. The contract might be negotiated with a single design builder or result from competitive proposals. Of course, so in government project, hindi pwede naman na negotiated kaagad sa isang contractor. Of course, it will consider design and build contractors of similar nature. Next, the selection can be based on low price or on a set of value criteria, experience, staff, bonding capacity, etc. So sa design and build approach, hindi ultimate basis yung lower price. So kung minsan pa nga yung mga malls, pinipili nila yung time or the duration over the cost because mas malaking mawawala sa kanila kung yung project hindi pa tapos at the desired time or desired due date. So again, the cost is not the ultimate criteria in selecting the design and build contractor. So design build provides the owner with a single point of contact for project responsibilities, eliminating the need to assist in resolving designer-contractor disputes. So ito, wala nang hassle kasi nga yung designer, siya na rin yung constructor. So, meaning, the liability lies sa isang entity na lang. Okay? With the contractor playing a major role in design, costs are typically defined and maintained to a greater degree, and the coordination of fast-track management to achieve early completion is greatly simplified. Then the design builder makes many decisions that owner would make under DBB due to delegation of greatly increased authority.
So, ang authority, yung design builder pa rin kasi sila na ngayong nag-design, sila pa yung mag-execute. So, once there are variations on site, no problem sa design builder kasi kabisado nila yung specs na nagamit as well as the codes to adjust certain scope of work to be responsive naman dun sa sa site. Okay? For many owners, delegations of responsibility leads to satisfactory projects. However, if the parties are inexperienced and do not cooperate, the transfer of control and risk can be disappointing. The owner may need to restructure his or her internal procedures to accommodate design-build approach. Compared to DBB, this involves a significantly different set of requirements and expectations for process, timelines, and communication. A clear understanding and documentation of design-build processes enhances the quality of design-build projects. Advantage of design-build approach. Of course, number one is innovation and quality improvements through alternative design and construction methods suited to the contractor's capabilities. Of course, the contractor will have their preference kung ano mang methods or construction methods ang kanilang gagamitin. And then flexibility in the selection of design, materials, and construction methods. Though merong flexibility, of course, meron ding mechanism for approval ng owner. So, earlier schedule and cost certainty. So, the disadvantages of design-build approach is that, of course, reduce opportunities for smaller local construction firms. Kasi nga, iilan lang ang merong technical know-how or consultant like the designer sa mga construction firms, that is design and build contractors. And then fewer competitors and increased risk may result in higher initial cost. Elimination of traditional check and balances. So, wala nang check and balances kasi nga, iisa na lang. So, walang nag-check sa site, kundi yung design and build contractor din. Quality may be subordinated by cost or schedule considerations. The next, less engineer control over final design. Then, higher procurement cost, of course, that is given. And then, traditional funding may not support fast tracking construction or may require accelerated cash flow. Accelerated construction can potentially overextend the workforce. So those are the disadvantages of design and build approach. So others, we have the turnkey variations, direct labor approach, and construction management. So there's such thing as turnkey. So this turnkey adds to the design builder's responsibility, the operation or maintenance of the completed project. Turnkey delivery has the potential for bringing a new project online more quickly. Three forms of turnkey project delivery are as follows. We have design, build, operate, and transfer. And then design, build, operate, and maintain. And then design, build, own, operate, and transfer. So those are some types of turnkey agreements. So we also have here the turnkey variation. Variations on turnkey add financing as a key component. While financing agreements are unique for each project, developer finance projects generally resemble one of the turnkey delivery methods. We have FDBT or Finance Design Build Transfer, FDBOT Finance Design Build Operate and Transfer, and then FDBOOT Finance Design Build Own Operate and then Transfer. So ang nadagdag dito is of course the finance element. So in each case, the transfer of the project occurs only after the developer's interests and financial obligations have been satisfied. So let us now proceed to contract definition. So contract definition is agreement of at least two parties with purpose of creating legal obligation between the parties and capable of being enforced by the court of law. So alam naman natin yung agreement is pinipirmahan yan and then may contract or may nakalaan na liability sa court of law. Okay? So the contract is equal to offer plus acceptance plus consideration. Remember, sa contract agreement, meron niyang two parties. Yun yung owner tsaka yung contractor. So, introduction to contracts. Why use contract in construction? Of course, to describe scope of work, and then establish the time frame, establish cost and payment provision, then set forth obligations and relationship, then minimize disputes, improve economic return of investment. So basic contents of the contract involves, of course, the identification of the parties, promises and responsibilities, scope of work, price and payment terms, commercial terms and conditions, project execution plan. So we have here major contract types. These are traditional. Construction contract forms involves 3. We have the competitive bidding. Number 2, negotiated contract or negotiated cost plus. Then the combination. Okay. Normally, sa competitive bidding, there are several scope of work to involve. Lump sum yan. And then, sa heavy construction naman, we have unit price. So, each of the scope of work will have its unit price. So, it has a high risk to the contractor. Why? Because there are uncertainties sa construction, no, na hindi normally na napro-project. So, that is why sa preparation of BOQ, meron tayong tinatawag na OCM or overhead, contingencies, and miscellaneous to cover itong high risk na tinatawag. And then, sa competitive bidding, it is low risk to the owner because ang ini-insure na niya na lang is yung yung execution ng project in which standards, specifications, and plans are met. Okay. So, the second one is the negotiated cost plus. So, this has many types. So, ayan, naka-enumerate. We have cost plus percentage of cost. And then cost plus fixed fee. And then cost plus fee plus profit sharing. And then we have cost plus sliding fee. And cost plus GMP. So, complex project, tunnels, power plants, process plants. So, sa negotiated, of course, may risk sharing yan between the procuring entity and the contractor. So for the combination, we have new innovative types. So use a combination of contract types in a single project. So it has a teamwork element and the CM administered. So we now move on to the lump sum contract. So lump sum contract, from the word lump sum, of course, it is one price for the whole contract. Lump sum includes cost plus overheads and profits. And it has high risk to the contractor. Then price is quoted is a guaranteed price as per contract documents. So next, payment based on a scheduled percentage scheme. So it could be monthly progress claims, okay, kung magbibiling siya. The contractor is free to use means and methods to complete the work and responsible for proper performance. Work must be well defined at bid time and then fully developed plans and specifications. So the advantage of lump sum contract: low risk to the owner, though it is higher risk to the contractor. So predetermined na yung cost, and then the contractor will assign best personnel. So contractor selection is easy. So for the disadvantage, changes is difficult and costly. Then the contractor is free to use the lowest cost of material, equipment, and methods. So for unit price, so the unit price is quote rates. It is prices by units. So unit price is number total final price. No total final price. So it is renegotiate for rates if the quantity or work considerably exceeds the initial target. Payment to contractor is based on the measure. So halimbawa, meron tayong unit price ng concrete by volume. So like peso per cubic meter. Halimbawa, plastering works or CHB walls, meron din yung unit cost in pesos per square meter. So mabilis na ma-evaluate yung natapos according to the unit price. So unit price is unbalanced bids. It is higher risk to the owner. Ideal for work where quantities cannot be accurately established before construction starts. So unit price contract requires sufficient design definition to estimate quantities of units. Of course, ito na yung detailed bill of materials. Contractors bid based on units of work. Time and cost risk, these are assured. Owner at risk for total quantities. Yun nga, kailangan i-check niya kung totoo ba yung mga quantities na nasa contract. And then the contractor, it is also at risk for a fixed unit price. So in our government procurement, RA 9184, like for example, merong siyang mechanism for price escalation para hindi naman masyadong dihado yung contractor. So large quantities changes greater than 15 to 25% can lead to increase or decrease of unit price. So the requirement of unit price is adequate breakdown and definition of work units, good quantity surveying and reporting system, and then adequate drawings, and then experience in developing bill of quantities, and then payment is based on the measurement of the finished works, then quantity sensitive analysis of unit prices to evaluate total bid price for potential quantity variation. So again, kailangan alam mo kung anong magiging consequences ng cost to address uncertainties. So unit price advantages, it is suitable for competitive bidding, easy for contract selection, early start is possible, and then it has the flexibility. Quantities and scope can be easily adjusted. So disadvantages, final cost not known from the beginning. BOQ only is estimated. Of course, kaya nga estimate, it could be plus or minus. Another disadvantage, staff needed to measure the finished quantities and report on the units not completed. Another disadvantage is that unit price sometimes tend to draw unbalanced bid. For unit price contract, a balanced bid is one which each bid is priced to carry its share of the cost of the work and also its share of the contractor's profit. So in here, the balanced bid contains contractor's profit, yung mga necessary taxes like value added tax in our case. And then contractors raise prices on certain items and make corresponding reductions of the prices of other items without changing the total amount of bid. So, of course, napakaraming scope of work niyan. For example, merong kang earthworks and concrete works. Pwede maghuhugutan yung dalawa. Pwede na yung bid mo sa earthworks, pwede pa ngang zero actually, ang magiging bid mo. So, how can you be paid on that item if your offer is zero for that item? And although mababawi mo sa ibang scope of work, lugi ka pa rin kung nauna yung item na earthworks, for example. So, granting na merong price yung earthworks, kung masyadong mababa compared to the estimate of the agency or the owner. Again, yun yung tinatawag na unbalanced bid. Meaning, may mga reduction sa prices ng other items, masyadong malaking reduction, tapos masyadong malaki yung addition dun sa ibang items. So, there will be a dilemma, especially when you are claiming for billing later on. So, cost plus. Actual cost plus a negotiated reimbursement to cover overhead and profit. Different methods of reimbursement. We have cost plus percentage, cost plus fixed fee, and then cost plus fixed fee plus profit sharing clause. So it has the higher risk to the owner. The compromise is guaranteed maximum price or GMP, reduces risk to the owner while maintain advantage of cost plus contract. By using this type of contract, the contractor can start work without a clearly defined project scope, since all costs will be reimbursed and profit guaranteed. Ang ibig lang sabihin nito is walang guaranteed maximum price. That is why the maximum guaranteed price is not predetermined, but it is to be determined, no? So it is not predetermined but to be determined by cost plus. And then another type, we have cost plus percent of cost. Fee is equal to percentage of the total project cost. Advantages, it is profitable for the contractor. Disadvantages, no incentive to finish the job quickly. The owner does not know total price. Larger the cost of the job, the higher the fee of the owner pays. So again, in this scheme, hindi predetermine yung cost but to be determined. Though profitable siya kasi nga fixed na yung percentage na makukuha ng contractor according sa actual na nagastos. Wala nang incentive to finish the job quickly. So what does that mean? Because in project management, we all know that kapag natapos na yung project earlier, of course, there will be a generated savings from the project. Like, halimbawa, na tapos mo yung project mo earlier, may mga savings ka from facilities ng construction. And of course, the hiring of extensive labor. Okay? So another scheme is cost plus fixed fee. So in this scheme, it is similar to that cost plus percentage. Ang pinagkaiba lang dito is this fixed fee is dependent on the predetermined original estimated cost. For example, we have a treatment plant facility costing 20 million. So 20 million, ito yung estimated cost, ano? So the fee on that is 1%, and 1% of 20 million would amount to $200,000 million. So, ayun, the advantage is fee amount is fixed regardless of price fluctuation. So this is advantageous to the owner. And of course, it provides incentive to complete the project quickly. So kapag natapos mo yung project, of course, hindi ka na affected ng price fluctuation. Hence, guaranteed na yung incentive mo if you finish it quickly. And then the disadvantage, expensive materials and construction techniques may be used to expedite the construction. So it will hinder the construction, yung mga expensive material and construction techniques because of that fixed fee. Of course, this is just the scheme of cost plus fixed fee. So cost is equivalent to expenses incurred by the contractor for the construction of facilities. So it includes labor, equipment, materials, and administrative costs. So the fee refers to compensation for expertise, which includes also profit. So another scheme is cost plus fixed fee plus profit sharing clause. So it gives rewards to contractors who minimize cost, and then percentage of cost under the guaranteed maximum price is considered profit and shared with the contractor. Guaranteed maximum price or GMP. percentage of profit sharing is specified in the contract. So, the advantage is it provides incentive to the contractor to save money. However, as a disadvantage, the contractor must absorb any amount over the guaranteed maximum price. And then plans and specifications need to be detailed. So for this one, variation of this type of contract is called a guaranteed maximum price. In this type of contract, the contractor is reimbursed at cost with an agreed upon fee to the guaranteed maximum price, which is essentially a cap. Beyond this point, the contractor is responsible for covering any additional cost within the original project scope. An incentive clause which specified that the contractor will receive additional profit for bringing the project in under the guaranteed maximum price. Moving on to the construction documents, we have the bidding requirements. Under bidding requirements, we have notice to bidders, instruction to bidders. Dito nakadetail yung mga documents that needs to be submitted and complied with. And then the proposal form. And then under contract documents, contract forms are part of that. And then conditions of the contract, specifications, of course, naka-attach dapat yan with the drawings, the addenda, change order or variations order if there is, and then of course the agreement itself. So we have here construction documents are defined as the written and graphic documents prepared or assembled by the procuring entity for communicating the design of the project and administering the contract for its construction. We have two major groups. First, we have the bidding requirement. It is used to attract bidders and explain bidding process. And then we have here the contract documents. So these are legally enforceable requirements that become part of the contract. So it includes all construction documents except bidding forms. So these are the construction documents. So the bidding requirements are used to attract bidders and explain the procedures to be followed in preparing and submitting bids. So in our case, here in the Philippines, we are guided by the implementing rules and regulations of the Republic Act 9184, or what we call the procurement law. Bidding requirements help bidders follow established procedures and submit bids that will not be disqualified because of technicalities. They do not become part of the contract documents. So the bidding documents, all of the construction documents issued to bidders before the signing of an owner-contractor agreement. So what contains the bid package? So bid package, documents available to the contractor and on which he must make a decision to bid or not. So it involves a set of plans, technical specs, proposal form, general conditions of the contract, special conditions of the contract, and then the description of the project to be constructed. So in a while, I'll just show you a sample of bid documents. So in RA 9184, we have the so-called the procurement process. So there are stages on the procurement process. We have First, with the preliminary, of course, the budget preparation and the approval. And then the procurement planning, which includes preparation of project procurement management plan, or what we call PPMP. And then consolidation of the PPMPs into the annual procurement plan. And then the bid preparation, ito na yung stage ng bidding procedures. We have preparation of bidding documents, pre-procurement conference, and then advertising and posting of invitation to bid. Next stage is of course the public bidding. So dito na magsa-submit ang mga bidders with their bids and eligibility documents. And then after that, we have the bid and post evaluation. We have preliminary bid evaluation. So sa preliminary bid evaluation, meron lang tayong checklist on the presence or absence of the documents. So next is the detailed bid evaluation to determine the lowest calculated bid or the LCB. So sa LCB, it involves arithmetic bid evaluation. So it involves cost analysis dito. And then after that, post-qualification, titignan kung meron ba talagang capability or checking the eligibility requirements of the bidders or the lowest calculated bid. Ito yung tinatawag na lowest single lowest responsive bid or lowest responsive bid, LCRB, lowest calculated responsive bid. Yun yung masasubject sa post-qualification. Kapag hindi pumasa, yung lowest responsive calculated bidder, pupunta tayo sa second lowest calculated bidder or second lowest responsive calculated bidder. So until such time sa post-qualification na-meet niya yung requirement, then that's the time the contract will be awarded, and then the perfection of the contract, of course, the execution of the contract. So what would be the contents of the invitation to bid? It involves the name and location of the contract to be bid, the project background, and other relevant information, including a brief description of the type, size, major items, and other relevant features. And then another one, we have the name of the project, identification, and number of lots or items, as well as a basis of evaluation. And then the general statement on the criteria for the eligibility check. And finally, the date, time, and place of the deadline for submission and receipt of bids and the opening of bids. So this is according to section 21.1 of the 2016 revised implementing rules and regulations of RA 9184. So another set of lists here for the contents of the ITB or invitation to bid. So meron din tayong ABC or approved budget for contract of the project, lot or item to be bid. And of course, the information about the source of funding, and then the period of the availability of the bid documents, the place the bid docs may be secured, the website, and the price of the bid documents. And lastly, the contract duration or delivery schedule. And number 9 and 10, we have the name, address, telephone number. So, ito yung mga contact information. And then, other relevant information about the project to be bid. So, as a first stage of process of procurement or bidding process is the advertisement and posting of the invitation to bid. Of course, for above 15 million projects, it must satisfy all of the mediums that are stipulated here in the slide. We have newspaper of general nationwide circulation, and then the PhilJEP's website, the procuring entity website if there is, and then conspicuous places. So for project that are 15 million and below, hindi na kailangan ng advertisement through newspaper of general nationwide circulation. So that is the provision of section 21.2. So next we have here the issuance of the bidding documents. So the bidding documents must be available from the time the invitation to bid is first advertised until the deadline for submission and receipt of bids. So remember yung timeline, Once na-advertise mo, dapat available na yon until dun sa dropping ng bids or the deadline for the submission of bids. The bank shall issue the bidding documents upon payment of the applicable cost thereof to the collecting or disbursing officer of the procuring entity concerned. The procuring entity shall also post the bidding documents at its website and at the PhilJEPs. Of course, this is also to increase the opportunities for every contractor or prospective bidders. So, prospective bidders may download the bidding documents from any of the said websites, provided that bidders shall pay the fee for the bidding documents upon submission of their bids. Of course, may bayad ang bidding documents. The cost of bidding documents shall correspond to the ABC as indicated in the table. This shall be the maximum amount of fee that the procuring entity can set for the acquisition of bidding documents. Ito yung prices ng bidding documents. This is according to cost brackets of the project.